right, welcome to the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Last review session of the year. And to clarify that, of the year, not the season. This current season will go till the end of January. That being said, 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Right, so we have a long history of covering Shovel Knight games on the program. In fact, I think it was about, 2 years ago that the last bit of the Treasure Trove came out. And we covered those. And, indeed, we've covered Yacht Club's Cyber Shadow here not too long ago, both in interview form and in review form. And now we've got Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. It's a Falling Blocks spin-off of Shovel Knight. And it's its own game. It's not part of the Treasure Trove package. In fact, if you go and pre-order, I guess another preface here, at time of recording, the game isn't quite out yet. It's releasing at noon tomorrow, digitally at least. I imagine that there'll be a physical release down the line. I didn't see anything in the notes or the press kit about that, at least right now. Or they could be waiting for all the DLC to come out. I don't know. Anyway, point is, game's not quite out yet. One reason, even if we all got codes, we'd probably be running trailer footage because of spoiler concerns. Anyway. So yeah. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is a falling block puzzle game. And they posted an extensive blog posting about this choice on their website, Yacht Club. And, one of the reasons why they wanted to do a Falling Blocks game was because they liked these kinds of games back in the day. The heyday of Falling Block puzzlers. I think we've noted before we've come across a few other Falling Block puzzle games. In fact, we reviewed the Tetris Effect Connected not too long ago as well, which is the latest iteration of the Falling Block puzzle game. Anyway, so they created this because they wanted to bring an homage of those classic puzzle games. But they also wanted to put their own spin on it, obviously. Because, obviously the go-to reference for Falling Block puzzle games is indeed Tetris. But this has more to do in common with, Yoshi's Cookie or Wario's Woods. Something much more...
those are paneled upon, right?
No, they're not.
Aren't they?
Paneled upon's Tetris Attack.
Right, I thought it's the Yoshi's Cookie is the one where you stack objects in between eggshells for points.
No, that's Yoshi. Yoshi's Cookie is where you're in a cookie factory and you have to shift the cookies around to match the cookies up. They are actually 2 different games. And
okay. Yeah. My mistake. There are too many of these puzzle games, and I was wrong.
But all of these games have been cited as influences for Pocket Dungeon. And you can, Yoshi's Cookie is definitely in the layout of the grid. Because it's like a full square instead of the more vertical well that populates a lot of the more Tetris-influenced puzzle games. That being said, it's not an advanced Falling Blocks game, and what I mean by that is the pieces, if you will, only fall from the top. They don't come in from the side or anything like that. Trying to remember if that was a thing with Yoshi's Cookie. But it's like I never played that one. Anyway, the point is, so this is a love letter to all of the classic puzzle games that you may have enjoyed in, say, the 90s. And you might be wondering, what does it do on its own? What is it bringing to the genre, if anything? Well, first of all, Shovel Knight. You play as Shovel Knight, and let's say other characters. I haven't unlocked everyone, but I've unlocked a fair number of characters, including...
So the Order of No Quarter and other significant NPCs.
Yeah, the Order of No Quarter is there. Shield Knight's there. There's New Knights, or at least there's a New Knight that I probably won't. That I probably shouldn't say who is, because, like I said, he's a knight that I have not seen before.
I think it was in some of the promo material, but I don't remember. So
I'm like
I said, I literally don't remember what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, you play. You start out as Shovel Knight, and you can unlock characters as you go. And the story here is Shovel Knight has been banished to the Pocket Dungeon. The title on the marquee here is quite literal. You're in a pocket dimension that is stacked with dungeons. They are dungeons based off of the levels in Shovel Knight. And indeed, the blocks, the pieces, when they aren't like dirt or later on more harder materials like stone or iron, which you do, which take more time to, or hits. Yeah, the way you get rid of puzzle pieces is to bump into them. And the main strategy session comes into play with the enemy pieces, as you'll be tasked to get rid of enemies in order to have the door appear and to get out before time runs out. And there are different enemy pieces. I suppose, like, some of the early ones, there's these ant creatures that I believe are new for the game. They're your very basic mob. And the balance is related to hitting them and damage. Every time, usually when you hit a creature, you will get damage back. Not all the time. One of the other starting enemies is the slime creatures from Shovel Knight. You can kill them with no damage, but they leave behind a poison trail that if you step into will do damage. So the trick there is, yes. And I guess, the third beginning piece on the plains board is the skeletons. Yeah, you might remember the skeleton enemy from Shovel Knight. One of the more iconic enemies, I think.
I believe they are called Skelly.
Wouldn't surprise me. But the Skelly pieces, they're the tricky ones on the plains, because you got to do a bit more strategy here than just bump and hit. Because the basic piece, when you hit a Skelly, he will do you 2 points worth of damage. And with Shovel Knight, you have 5 points of health. So you've got to, usually you've got to refill either refill via a potion or a turkey. Health is also constantly coming in because of this dynamic. Or one of the tricks that you're probably going to need to know is how damage is done. When you bump into an enemy on its last life point, you will get no damage. And this gets into the other big strategy plotting device, and that is stacking. When you've got 2 or more of the same enemy piece, you will do damage to all of them. And that's the recipe for not just ranking up the high scores and in this case, score is gems. You do get money to unlock things, various items, relics, if you will. Once again, that was a that was a thing in Shovel Knight, so it's here in Pocket Dungeon. And you will also be able to use gems to unlock areas further in the game.
It looks like the main one is actually, the main design is actually the Bone Clang. I might have had that mixed up. Anyway, sorry.
I'm like, I'm not on a first name basis with all the various enemies of Shovel Knight. Mm-hmm. Nor do I need to be. But once again, going to further boards, speaking in more vague terms, like the enemies some enemies will get much more dickish. Like, I guess another early game enemy from Pridemore Fall or Pridemore Keep is the bronze armors. Once again, you will remember them as the shield guys in the very fancy armor from King Knight stage. So the trick with them is they have, remembering, like 4 or 5 points of health. But the big trick there is when you hit them from either the side or the top, they will move their shield. And if they got the shield in place, they will block that hit. So now that might not sound too difficult at first, but you got to keep in mind that blocks are coming in. I guess another mechanic that I should lay out at this point in time is the actual falling blocks aspect. So, the blocks, every time you move or make a turn, it's kind of roguelike in its mechanics. Kind of. And also super hot. That is to say, it looks like time might be stopped when you don't move, but it's only slowed. Blocks will still come in, but at a much slower rate than if you're moving around. And yes, that will factor into your decision making, especially when things get filled. Anyway, so you've got to figure out how to take out the bronze armors, and the more packed that Pridemore gets, the harder it actually is to remove those pieces. At least, like, with the standard weaponry. There's a lot to this game. Like, another aspect is getting better, albeit temporary weapons. Like, there will be chests that drop in from the sky, and if you get the key, you got to unlock them. And you will get things like a golden sword or a spear, something like that. Something that will help you against the enemies. Like the spear will do damage like for 2 blocks. There's a shield item that will resist some damage. And so on and so forth. Don't want to give everything away here, but they will help you for a certain amount of hits. Also, if you get a new weapon, that will replace the old one. And there's also no counter, no formal timer. It's more based off of when you get the door. Once that appears, the level will start collapsing on itself. There's a whole lot to this game. There's other things that I'm hesitant to go into right now, and is related to, let's just say, advanced plot settings. What those are, you will have to discover them for yourself. So those are that's the rough sketch of how Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon works. So how does it all fit together? pretty well, actually. It's it's a game overseen by Yacht Club, not developed by them. The development studio was Vine on this. I'm not familiar with their previous work, but they did a pretty good job here. It's like if I had, I guess the problems I had with the game were the controls were a bit too slippery, as in it was a little too easy for me to make a slide where I didn't want to slide, especially when you're moving quickly, because this game will put some pressure on you. And I think the thing I hated most was the respawn time. Like I said, there are two ways you can play this game. You can play it like you can play it with infinite lives, or you can play it with one life. You can play this game with permadeath. I'd recommend that a couple playthroughs down the line. If you're starting out, you're probably not getting through this game on one go. And that's fine. Now, the infinite lives is related to the context of the level. That is to say, if you get killed by an enemy, crushed by a block, that kind of thing, you will just die. You will lose a portion of your gems, and you will go up to the top of the well. My problem there is it often takes a bit more time than I would have liked, and I didn't really see anything to cut that down. No relic or anything. More annoying than anything else. I think my biggest problem were some of the enemies were just a plate of bullshit and chips, let's say. Probably starting with the third wave of levels, the enemies will get really, really tricky. The Clockwork Tower, I guess I'll name it. That's the point where the enemies will really start being. You have to take them out in a certain fashion, and it's probably best to wait for a group of them to show up rather than wasting a life point on just one or two of them, if you can spare it. And there are also boss encounters. That's where you will encounter like the Order of No Quarter, and you will fight them in various fashions in order to progress. I wish I could go more into detail with these, but once again, those are the things that I think people would want to experience for themselves. Like, let's see, the visual design is obviously up to the usual Yacht Club aesthetic, though everything is a lot more stylized and a lot less animation. Like Shovel Knight and all the characters don't really have any animations. They move more like statues or something. Not saying that there's no animation there, but it's definitely less than what the main game showed. Which is fine. This is a puzzle game. And the music is, once again, it's good. Definitely not as iconic as the original Shovel Knight soundtrack, though I will note that, yes, this game does use remixes from that game. And it has its own original tracks. It's good stuff, still. Let's see. In terms of pricing, this game will clock in at $20. And if you pre-order in the next 16 hours, you will be able to get the soundtrack and a 60% loyalty discount of Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. If you don't already own that. Which is I will admit, is a bit of a weird incentive, because I have a hard time seeing that this is going to be people's first experience with Shovel Knight. I won't discount that. Yes, okay. Statistically speaking, this will be somebody's first go around with Shovel Knight. But I got to imagine, like, the people who are coming in, especially who are pre-ordering this, are doing so because they are fans of Shovel Knight, not necessarily because they are a fan of falling block puzzle games. I'm not gonna lie. This game does have a bit of a odd veneer of the licensed game. It doesn't play like a licensed game. It's not phoned in like a licensed game, but it's kind of presented as one, if you will. It's like, and it's also, yes, the mechanics are very much in the keeping of Shovel Knight and all that stuff, but it still comes across as, Shovel Knight maybe being grafted on a puzzle template. And
Shovel Knight makes appearances in other kinds of games all the time, but this is an actual Shovel Knight game. Like, the Shovel Knight is the main point.
Right. It's also the first standalone spin-off for Shovel Knight. I'd say Shovel Knight Showdown is the first, spin-off, but that was a bonus in the Treasure Trove package.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game that you are expected to plunk money down for, and you can't get the Treasure Trove pack to offset any sort of price like you can with some of the expansion packs for that thing. So, is the game worth $20? Yes, it is. Is it the most amazing puzzle game I've covered or we've covered this year? No, I definitely still give the nod to the Tetris Effect Connected. There is multiplayer in this, but it's kind of your traditional Puyo Puyo-esque multiplayer. That is to say, you've got two characters, you compete, you send garbage blocks to each other. That's only two-player, and it's not really optimized for online play. The Steam version, once again, uses the remote play together. And, we tried that with Showdown back in the day. It didn't work out too well. Granted, we didn't have enough codes to test out multiplayer. You can play against the computer if you want. But this is obviously the kind of thing that's best played to, that mode, two-player. It's the versus mode. I will say the versus mode is definitely secondary to the campaign mode. The campaign mode will last you about 4 hours, 5 hours first playthrough, but there's definitely more to that than meets the eye. Good luck to you in unlocking all of its secrets. There's also the daily challenge puzzle, which is, as it says, you take on a daily... I'm not sure if it's randomly generated or not, but... you take on a daily challenge and see how you do. It's one of those. So it's fairly stuffed with modes and things to keep you busy. And it's still a good puzzle game. Still a good falling block puzzle game. As Yacht Club has noted, as we've noted, we don't get too many of these games. Honestly, when we cover puzzle games on this program, I think we get a lot more puzzle platformers than anything else, if I'm being honest. Followed by maybe Match 3, though once again, Match 3 isn't all that common on the PC anymore. Mobile, by dear God, I think I have 5 of them on my phone right now. Anyway, still, it's a new entry. It's a good entry. It's completely worth the price. One thing I cannot say right now is if this is going to have a pre-order discount. I looked through the notes I was given about this game, and I didn't see anything in regards to that. But I wouldn't put it past that there would be a traditional 10 to 20% discount. Also, I can't say how much the OST is going to be outside of the pre-order. They haven't put that information out. So, that being said, it is a Shovel Knight soundtrack that was composed by Jake Kaufman. It's going to be worth the price. Like I said, it's not as good as the main Shovel Knight OST, but it's still, still really good. Any other questions, comments, or concerns about Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon?
I think I'm good.
I'm gonna try and probably pick it up myself at some point. So,
all right. Just keep in mind they might give us 2 more codes around the time of the interview.
Like I said, it's at some point, maybe.
Right. Anyway, so that's going to be about it for Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Be sure to tune in after the break, as the Gaulets will be reviewing Witchwood.